November 14th, 1940, the Luftwaffe, that is the Nazi German Air Force of World War II, launched a horrific surprise attack on the city of Coventry, England. The Coventry Blitz, as it has been known, destroyed thousands of homes, killed hundreds of people, and destroyed multiple factories in the Coventry area. It was dangerous, devastating, and most importantly, it came as a surprise to the people of Coventry. Today, I will be arguing that the Coventry Blitz was, in fact, a surprise attack. And for the purpose of that argument, I will define surprise attack as follows. A surprise attack is an attack launched with such secrecy so as to maximize the destruction caused by the attack. My first piece of supporting evidence comes from Jennifer Harby, writing for the BBC News. Harby writes, in 1940, November 14th, the Luftwaffe launched an attack that would become the most devastating that the English had experienced up to that point in the war. This attack destroyed thousands of homes. It killed over 600 people, and the factories around Coventry, there were many, multiple of which were damaged in the attack. This attack was carried out with maximum damage in mind. And there is the argument in this piece of evidence. The syllogism for this piece of evidence is as follows. The Coventry raid was a surprise attack, an attack designed to cause maximum damage. The minor premise would be that the Coventry raid did, in fact, cause major damage to the city of Coventry. And therefore our conclusion is that the Coventry Blitz, or Coventry raid, they can be used interchangeably, was in fact a devastating surprise attack to the city of Coventry. My second piece of supporting evidence comes from John Keegan, who writes that Coventry represented an extremely valuable strategic target to the Nazi Air Force. It was the location of British armament factories, aircraft factories, and vehicle factories. Therefore, if the Luftwaffe could knock these factories out of commission, they could keep the RAF out of the sky, they could keep vehicles off the ground, and they could keep bullets from the guns of the British forces. Despite this, according to W.B. Stevens, the raid was not carried out with supreme accuracy. Anti-aircraft fire at the time caused the German bombers to have to fly at a much higher altitude than was ideal for target bombing. Therefore, carpet bombing ensued. My argument in this piece of evidence is that despite the fact that the aircraft were not particularly accurate, the value as a military target dictated that the Nazi German Air Force must have kept the raid secret before it commenced. The syllogism is as follows. The Coventry Blitz was a surprise attack, an attack designed to maximize damage. And the minor premise is as follows. Although the German Luftwaffe were not particularly accurate that night, the value as a strategic target dictated secrecy for the raid. Therefore, the Coventry Blitz was a surprise attack. My third piece of supporting evidence comes from historiccoventry.uk. According to this website, the British government at the time, headed by Winston Churchill, who was the Prime Minister, had received codes called Enigma codes from the German army. These codes were obviously encoded, but they had been cracked sometime before by the English code crackers. Because of this, they were aware, up to 3 days before the Coventry Blitz, that an attack was coming to a city somewhere in England. However, they were not aware of crucial details, including the location and the time of the raid. This website clearly states that although the British government had some information concerning the raid, they were lacking crucial details that would allow them to launch a counterattack. And so our syllogism is as follows. The major premise is that the Coventry raid, or Coventry Blitz, was a surprise attack designed to cause maximum damage. And our minor premise is that even though the British government may have had information pertaining to an impending attack, they did not have the crucial details of where and when. Therefore, the Coventry Blitz was a surprise attack. Our next piece of evidence comes from the Nazi German government itself. According to Karl Heinze, who was a German propagandist during World War II, the German officers in the Luftwaffe were aware that the Coventry raid was a secret. In fact, in a propaganda piece penned by Heinze, a German officer is quoted as saying, "Tonight, the English will be surprised if they have time to think about it." Therefore, the German officers of the time and the propagandist himself knew that the Coventry raid was supposed to be a secret. Several counter-arguments can be raised against this argument. The first of this is that Coventry represented a strategic sacrifice by Winston Churchill. He knew that the Enigma codes must be kept secret, must be kept hidden, so that the German army did not know that their codes had been cracked. And therefore, he must have sacrificed Coventry in order to protect the secrecy of these code crackers. However, this argument is absurd. As I stated earlier on, the British government may have been aware of the impending attack, but they did not know the crucial details of where and when. A second counter-argument may be raised by saying that the confusion and inaccuracy of the attack must point to the idea that the attack was not a surprise and was not planned at all. However, this is absurd. Because of the sheer numbers involved, according to news.bbc.co.uk, over 500 enemy, that is German planes, were found to have bombed Coventry. These sheer numbers could not have been put in the sky over Coventry without major planning and also without major secrecy. So, to conclude, the Coventry raid represents a devastating surprise attack. It destroyed thousands of homes and multiple factories, as well as hundreds of lives. Even though the British government may have known about it, they did not know the details that would have saved them. And even at the time, the German army knew that it was a surprise, and that it would surprise the English who suffered this attack. Therefore, I must conclude that the Coventry Blitz, as it is known, was a devastating and horrific surprise attack carried out by the Luftwaffe on November 14th, 1940.